You know, there's just something about an antique wood stove. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just got a soft spot in my heart for these old girls, and I got a chance to put this stove in this year, and I was really excited about it. I've been working in this shop for 20 years, and it was about time I did something to make it a little more comfortable out here. And this video is going to be about the installation of this old stove. I just want to be sure that everybody understands that this video is for entertainment only. I am not by any stretch of the imagination an expert on installing wood stoves. If you want to install a stove like this in your shop, I highly recommend you do your research and look into it before you do anything, especially if you're unfamiliar with wood heat. Heating with wood can be potentially dangerous if the install is not done correctly. There's a few things you need to watch for, but if installed properly, they can be very satisfying, and it's just something that I really enjoy during the winter months. So come along for the ride, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey everybody, it's Mike here for the MJ Ames and Furniture Company, and well, it's that time of year again up here in the Northeast, and I know we don't have a monopoly on weather up here, but I like my shop to be somewhat comfortable when I'm working. I've got my little thermometer here hanging on my pegboard, and you can see it's not terrible out here. It's just a little under 50, but it's not at all what I would call comfortable, and it's not terribly cold outside right now. It's been getting down into the 20s at night, around the 40s during the day. You can see I have a air conditioner that comes through this wall. When I built this part of the building, I put this in because it happened to be a fairly hot summer that year, and I thought I would really like to have this in here, but I've only used it a handful of times. So it really just sits here, it doesn't get any use. So I'm going to be taking this out, and I'm going to do a through-the-wall kit for a stovepipe right here. Here I have laid out everything that's included in what they call a through-the-wall kit. This is a T, and this goes just outside the wall where the air conditioner is, and the chimney pipe will mount to this, and this will be what the part that goes, well, the part that goes through the wall will hook to this. The kit also comes with a cap for your chimney. This section here is a part that actually goes through the wall and connects here. They include a couple of braces to hold your chimney to the wall of the building on the outside. They give you this little adapter piece here for your stovepipe inside the building. You get a little trim ring to go around your pipe as it goes into the wall. Now this piece here, also this section right here is inside the wall, and that part I showed you earlier that goes through the wall actually goes through here. So this insulates the inside of your wall from the heat coming out of your stovepipe. And included in that is this black trim piece. When it's all installed, you know, it doesn't look too bad. They also give you supports that goes underneath this T to hold the weight up. And I got part of it here. And the rest of it I have over here. This piece goes on the outside of the building, and the T will rest on this to support the weight of your chimney. And on the underside of the T, there's a little cap. And this comes, well, there's a couple of screws here, but this comes on and off. You take this off when you need to sweep your chimney, and when you're done, you just put this back on. I've installed a couple of these units, and they're not too difficult to put in. They're usually pretty straightforward, and they go along pretty quick. The only thing that this kit does not include is the actual chimney pieces. And I do have a couple of pieces left over from other installs that I've done. My hand's out. Well, my hand's out. For outside the building, I prepared a piece of flashing here. I could have used wood, but I had this piece of scrap lying around from a previous project, so I decided to just use this. And I put some bends on the bottom so that the water will flow out and down the outside of the building instead of getting trapped inside the wall and causing rot. Well, it looks like that's about all I can do right now. If you'll notice, the overhang on the roof comes out farther than what that thimble is going to allow the pipe to stay away from the building. So I need to get a couple of extra pieces where I can actually turn the pipe away from the building and move it out a little more so I can clear the overhang on the roof. I looked into buying a couple of elbows to push my stovepipe away from the overhang that you can see there. They were going to be about $200 for 2 elbows, and I was going to have to wait about a week to get them. So instead, I just made that wooden extension there that's next to the building, and I bought a 12-inch piece of pipe that goes in the inside of the wall, and I just pushed my T out a little farther. The extension pipe was 50 bucks, and I just made the extensions out of some scrap plywood I had lying around, and I got it done in one day, so I think that'll take care of that problem. Well, that's starting to look a little better. I tell you what, it's starting to feel warmer in here already. Wouldn't you know? It is. Well, it looks like about all that's left to do now is trim off around where my pipe goes out the wall. And I could polish the stove up, clean that up and polish it up nice with some stove black. But what I'm going to do before I do either one of those things, I'm going to start a small fire in it. I want to make sure that my pipe doesn't leak, and I also want to make sure that that backer board is going to work behind the stove. I want that to protect my wall from getting too hot. And if it doesn't work, I might have to pull the stove out a little farther. We'll have to see how it goes. Now I just started that stove and you can see it's 50 in here. I'll check it in a little bit. Well, the stove's been running for about 45 minutes now, and I kept my eye on it, and it got hot underneath it, pretty hot to the touch, so I had to build a heat shield. Just got it on a couple of bricks, slides it under there. I think that's going to do the job. This backer board here got very hot to the touch, but there's no heat at all behind it on the wall. That's good. In the 45 minutes that the stove has been running, we've gained about 10 degrees in here. Well, maybe not quite 10 degrees, just a little bit under 60, but not bad for 45 minutes. With that heat shield underneath the stove, I can hold my hand right on the hearth pad underneath the shield. I put it in there as far as I can go, and I can hold it right there. It's warm. Before it was hot. I couldn't hold my hand on it. If you have a wood stove in your shop or even in your home, it is extremely important that you have a fire extinguisher readily handy. I've seen a lot of people install fire extinguishers right on the wall behind the stove, and that is a major mistake. It's the last place you want your fire extinguisher. If you were to have a fire by the stove, you would have to go through the fire to get to your fire extinguisher. Not a good idea. It's always best to have your fire extinguisher near the closest exit. This kind of gives you a perspective of where the fire extinguisher is in relationship to my wood stove. As you can see, it's hanging on the wall. Right next to that is an exit sign, and right below that is a spiral staircase that leads to the first floor and then outside. It's also very important that you check your extinguishers regularly. Most fire extinguishers have a gauge on them, and you can see right there on that one, up by the handle is a round dial, and that tells you if the fire extinguisher is okay or discharged. It's a good idea to check those at least on an annual basis, but I usually check them a couple times a year, sometimes more depending, but at least twice.